Okay, so in the last video I said we're going to start factoring by grouping, but actually we're going to do this problem real quick to kind of bridge the gap between GCF and grouping. So for number 12, we have A times B plus 1 plus 3 times B plus 1. So looking at the two terms, what do they have in common? Well, hopefully you notice they both have B plus 1 as a term. So what does it say we would do with GCF? Well, we would take that term away. So we would have B plus 1 taken away. Well, if I take B plus 1 away from A times B plus 1, what am I left with? I'm left with A. If I take away B plus 1 from positive 3, what am I left with? Positive 3. And so we end up with an answer of B plus 1 times A plus 3. Okay. And so this will kind of help bridge the gap when we start doing factor by grouping. Now, when we do factor by grouping, the typical layout is that you will have 4 terms. Okay, that kind of gives you a little giveaway that you're going to be doing factor by grouping. Well, for factor by grouping, we have some particular steps, and they're built upon the concept of GCF. So the first thing you're going to do, let's write down the first problem, is x squared minus 4x minus x plus 4. Now you are not going to combine anything. You're going to factor as is. So for step 1, S1, step 1, you're going to split the expression in half. Okay, so literally, physically, you're going to split it in half. So I have x squared minus 4x. I'm going to split that from negative x plus 4. Then for step 2, you're going to find the GCF of the first half and simplify. You're going to find the GCF of the first half and you're going to simplify it. So looking at x squared minus 4x, what is common between those two terms? Well, x is common between those two terms, and which would leave me with x minus 4. Okay, so I found the GCF for the first half and I simplified it. Then for step 3, you're going to copy the binomial you found from the first half to the second half. You're going to copy the binomial that you found from the first half to the second half. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to copy it over the second half. Oop, didn't mean to put that there. Okay, so step 3 is not mathematical, it's just physically you're writing it over there. Step 4, you are going to find the GCF of the second half to match the binomial from the first half. take and find the GCF of the second half so that it matches the binomial from the first half. So what can I take away from negative x plus 4 so that the binomial would be x minus 4? Okay, or in other words, what times x or what times negative 4 would get me back to this original problem, which in this case would be negative 1. Okay, the GCF in this problem would have to be negative 1. Which goes back to the original problem up here from number 12. You see how we have something in common with both terms and something left over. So step 5 is that you're going to write the binomial again, seeing that they both have it in common, and then you're going to add the two GCFs together to create a second binomial. So you're going to rewrite the original binomial of x minus 4, and then you're going to take the two GCFs and you're going to combine them to create a second binomial. And so we get an answer of x minus 4 times x minus 1. Now, when you do these problems for the next ones, you will not have to write it out like this. I just broke it down step by step, showing you specifically what I was doing for that step so that it'd be easier to follow for the next examples, okay? Each problem after this will have significantly less work because you're not writing the steps per problem, okay? So, number 14, y squared plus 4y minus 2y minus 8. So step 1 says to split it in half, okay? So writing from the original problem, I'm going to split it in half. And that just simply means I'm going to put some space in between the two statements. Then I'm going to find the GCF of the first half. So between y squared plus 4y, the GCF would be y. And I'd be left with y plus 4. Now I'm going to take that GCF binomial and rewrite it over here. So step 3, copy the binomial from the first half to the second half. Then step 4 says find the GCF to match that binomial. So what would I have to take away to get y plus 4? Well, in this case, I would have to take away a factor of negative 2 for it to equal the original problem. And then last but not least, you rewrite the original binomial and you take the other two parts, the GCF, and combine them together to make the other binomial. Like I said, significantly less work. So I want you to try number 15 and see what you get. 2x squared plus 2x minus 5x minus 5.